So I wanted to do a quick video today that I've had so many people ask me about over the years, and that is, what exactly does a burr look like? Well, today for the first time I'm actually going to be able to show you. And why is it extremely important when you're sharpening a knife? I've got a knife, needs to be sharpened, so let's quickly go to the sharpening stone, we'll form a burr, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and I'll tell you why it's super important to form one before you move on to the next step in your sharpening, which is stropping and removing the burr. So let's go ahead and sharpen this knife. We're going to do that on a diamond stone. We're going to apex the blade, and that's just a fancy way of saying we're going to form an exact point along each side of the blade all the way down the middle. Now when we form that exact point, what's going to happen is one piece of metal is going to roll over slightly on the other side, and that is little piece that's hanging over is going to be our burr. So let's sharpen this real quick and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so hopefully this is in focus here, but we've got a burr on the knife, and this is a video, it's not a picture, and I've got my pencil here as a pointer, and this is kind of funny because I thought the pencil would be a little bit smaller than it is. Let's show you the scale here real quick. There's the tip of a pencil, and I think that actually will give you a little bit of scale to show you just how small the burr can be. You can feel that with your fingertip if you just drag it over the blade, but this will also show you why you can't see it with your naked eye because it's that small. Again, this is a pencil tip, a regular size pencil, not one of those big giant weird pencils that you get at the fair or something. And this burr, this little thread right here is from a towel. If you wipe the knife off, if you have water on it and stuff, it'll catch anything and everything that you wipe it on. So one good way to know that you do have a burr is to get out a towel, wipe it across the edge, and you'll see it'll collect a whole bunch of little threads on it like that. And that's just that little tiny piece of metal that's been folded over, catching all those threads and pulling them out. First, let me get a towel here and I'll wipe it off and I'll show you what happens. So you can see how when I wipe the towel on it, it picked up all those little threads. There we go. So that burr is collecting all those little threads or whatever they are from the paper towel. So let me go ahead and flip this over and I'll show you the other side, what that looks like. So this is actually what you're feeling when you take your finger and swipe it over the edge like that. You can feel that burr on that one side. Alright, so I'm just sort of freehand holding this because it's really difficult to line up the camera in the same location, but you can see on the other side it looks nice and smooth. Right? So that means that the burr, if you wipe your finger up over this side, like that, you don't feel anything catch your finger. That's because the burr is actually laying over to the other side. So let me flip this around, and there's the burr sort of hanging over that side. Come on. There we go. Why do you need to form a burr when you're sharpening? So what a burr actually does is it tells you whether or not you fully apexed, because you're talking about something that you can't see with your naked eye. But what you can do is you can feel that burr on one side of the knife with your finger. If you form the burr and you can feel it with your finger, that means that you're completely apexed. So much so that that piece of metal folds over to the other side and forms that burr. Now the idea is that we want to remove the burr so that we're left with a nice sharp apex in the center of the blade, and we don't have that folded over metal piece still on there inhibiting our cutting action. So in order to help remove the burr, we're going to go back to the stone and then we're going to take it to a strop to finish it off. So what we're going to do in order to help minimize the burr before we go to a strop is we're just going to take it and make a very light pass on the side that the burr is on. So we feel the burr on this side with our finger. So we'll just go ahead and we're going to make a very light pass at the same angle down that side of the stone. Now we have slightly less of a burr than we did before. So we're going to go ahead and do that again. Very light pressure, just almost less than the weight of the knife. We don't want to apply so much pressure that we end up forming a burr on the opposite side and then we have the same problem. But we can no longer feel as much of the burr with our fingers we did before. We still have a little bit in here in the center. We'll go ahead and do that again. Yep. And now I can't really feel anything on this side of the knife. We've formed maybe a smaller burr on the opposite side. So we'll go ahead and do a couple very light back and forth passes, and that should help minimize most of that burr. This is pretty much a brand new diamond stone, so it's a little gritty. That's why it sounds the way it does. So, a couple light back and forth passes there, and we are definitely minimized. However, we are not refined. So let's go look at what this looks like now before we take it to the strop. Here's what the edge looks like before we take it to the strop. You can see how much cleaner the edge looks by simply taking off that burr. We no longer have that folded over piece of metal that we did before by doing those light passes. We can also take our finger, wipe it up the backside. We don't feel anything, and we can't feel anything on that side. Let me take this out of the clamp here, and I'll show you the other side. Okay, so here we are on the other side of the knife, and you can see there's still a tiny, tiny little bit of burr left. And this is, where are we? There we go. This is where a strop is going to come in handy, because the strop is really going to clean up that edge and form that into a nice, tight, refined apex. What we're going to do is go ahead and take this to a strop. We'll give it a couple of stroppings, and I'll bring you back to show you what it looks like. So this is a 3 micron diamond strop. So we'll give this a couple of passes back and forth, and you can see as we strop that, you'll see a little bit of roughness show up on the strop. Hopefully you can see that. Little bit of roughness on the strop. That's actually the burr dragging across the surface. So that's another way to tell whether or not you formed the burrs. Take it to the strop, see if you see that roughness. Now as we strop, that'll go away, hopefully. Just do a couple passes. I'm trying not to block the camera here. Oh yeah, that is definitely that's definitely sharp. Our strop is smoothing out. We don't have any of those real rough drag marks on the strop that we did when we first started. Go ahead and wipe the blade off, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so here we are back. This is after a 3 micron strop, and you can see just how much cleaner that edge looks. And if we take our paper towel again, we'll do the wipe. We don't get any paper towel stuck on the edge. And at this point, this knife is very sharp. This is shaving sharp. So that's actually a hair whittling edge off of 3 micron strop. Okay guys, so hopefully that gave you a good visual as to what a burr actually looked like. Because for most of the time, you can't see it with your naked eye. The only way that you can tell whether or not you formed a burr is to take your finger and run it up the edge. And you can feel that folded over piece of metal. And again, hopefully this gave you a good visual as to what you're feeling for. The other thing I hope it showed you is that you don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment to get that knife super, super sharp. We used a single 5-600 grit diamond stone and a 3 micron diamond strop, and this thing is very, very sharp, as you saw. We could even take this to a 1 micron strop and it would be even more hair whittling. And that is a thing. There are varying levels of hair whittling. We'll get to that in a later video, probably. We'll see. If anybody's interested, I don't know. But for now, I just wanted to do a quick video and get this information out there because I get asked about the burr and what it looks like all the time. So here it is. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.